just checked out Vampires the Masquerade Rivals Expandable Card Game Core Set from Renegade Games Studio.
That's a long name.
Let's talk about it.
What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, you two! We're back again today for another Thoughts from the Corner. I'm here with my good friend Adam.
Yep.
And today we're checking out Rivals, the Vampires Masquerade Expandable Card Game from Renegade Games Studios. This is for 2 to 4 players, ages, I'm going to guess about 14 plus, and it's going to take you 30 to 70 minutes to play. And in Vampires, the Masquerade Rivals, this is a card game where you're going to start with your own asymmetric deck of cards. You're going to start off with your own big bad vampire leader. Then your job is to try and get 13 victory points, or to destroy a rival gang leader, or to have the most points when someone else does something. There's another alternate win condition that could potentially happen. I don't see it happening too often, but it could happen where someone kills the wrong person, blah, 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 blah. So we got a lot of thoughts on this game. We played the first time. It's an expandable card game, and I'm going to start off by saying this is the type of game where if you're interested in this game, you need to know right from the jump, before we tell you anything else about the game, you're going to have to invest a lot of game into this to get the most out of it. It's one of those games where I played it, and I think you're probably going to be in the same boat. And I was like, yeah, this is solid. I like the gameplay. There's so many moving parts and little things where it's like, oh, you got to keep track of this and this and this and this and this. Little situational rules, which gets me excited for the future of the system, which is good. But at the same time, as a reviewer and as someone who's never been particularly into the expandable card game, the CCG, oh, how can I string together different combos? This was one that it didn't do it for me as much as I was wanting to. But we'll talk more about the gameplay, because the gameplay is really simple. On your turn, you're only going to do 2 actions. And the actions are, you can get more cards, you can go out and beat up homeless people and school children. And no, I'm not joking. Yeah. You can go beat up people who are trying to kill vampires.
Second Inquisition.
And then there's other ways to score points, which generally would boil down to how different your deck is. For me personally, I had characters that had a good deal of influence, and then I could take that influence and then get victory points by pretty much just using the same card 3 times, because it just happened to be my deck 3 times. And I ended up winning. It was very anticlimactic and unexciting. Alan almost won, and it was also kind of anticlimactic if he would have, and not that exciting.
That's kind of you saw it coming.
It did.
A long way off.
Well, so what are your thoughts on this? I've talked a good deal about it.
I mean, I liked it the way that it was. Like, I can't ever imagine that I'm going to go in and want to try and build my own deck of cards in this.
Time out. There are other games that you like.
Mage Wars, I will do that. I will spend a week figuring out a good deck on Mage Wars. But this one, it's just like, I don't know. I played the character that I had, and I felt like this was a good character. Like, and I would be interested in playing like a different character.
You had cool stuff going,
right? But because they were so different, and it's like, do I really want to make a deck where I'm kind of trying to do everything? Like, it's already divided into a good different cards. I guess there are cards that we didn't see, but I feel like the way the game is played now, like with the pre-arranged decks, is a good way to play it. I just don't see that the expandable card game part of it is really necessary.
Okay. Wow. So you're just like, I like what we got going on here.
Yeah.
Would you want to play as your race again?
Yeah, I would. Okay. I mean, I know more about it, and I definitely would get more vampires out. Yeah, I think so.
See, I did not. I liked both of your other things. And yours was really cool because one thing that I haven't really mentioned is there's so many moving parts. Like, there's schemes. You were big on schemes, which are pretty much this thing where there's like, oh, there's secret stuff that I'm scheming.
Conspiracies.
But I have to put my influence points on it, which is a big deal because your influence points are your life, and if you run out of those, you completely lose the game.
Yeah.
Which was another one of the alternate win conditions, because there's a couple of those. And then mine was all about influence, and there was a whole bunch of different ways to influence. Then Alan was all about like eating homeless people and seducing them and stuff. And I felt like my deck in particular was not exciting. And I went through my cards at the end as well. And I was like, eh.
Do you think it would be more exciting if you could have a variety of what Alan and I were both doing at the same time?
I do.
We were doing the same thing that you were doing.
I absolutely do. And I
just feel like it would be homogenous at that point.
Well, I don't know. I don't think so. Because I feel like there were some cards that Alan played where I was like, oh, damn, that'd be really solid in my deck. It's just, I just don't think this is a style game for me. I think if you like the Vampire the Masquerade IP, and if you like the idea of crafting your own deck, I think this is a really solid system. And that's my main thing. It feels fidgety at some points. It feels like, oh god, we sat through a 30-minute Dan King rules video, which I thought was good, even though we agreed it was a little bit long. And then it was just constantly going back to the rules. The rules were getting passed back and forth and back and forth. And not for main gameplay things like, oh, what do I do during the action phase? Just for tons of these little tiny situational things, which I don't mind.
Like my card said Second Inquisition, and I had to be like, I looked through the book, and then I was like, guys, what is Second Inquisition? And you're like, oh, it's on this card right here. That's what that is.
But if that card hadn't have been out, we would not have had any clue.
Yeah.
So I think the rules could use a slight tweak, but I don't think they're bad rules.
No.
We were able to find most of the things we wanted to relatively easy. And what I was saying, though, was as if I were an expandable card game fan, the fact that there were so many of those little bells and whistles gets me excited, because I'm sure that there are different ways to win the game with all those different bells and whistles and possible things, because it's just, there's a lot to keep track of. You have titles that go onto your different characters. You can kill people out there, then you can start slapping those people and they become a part of your flock or your minion or whatever. Yeah. There's a lot to like in this game, and I agree with you. I would like to play it again with just the base game, but with a different role. I overall think this is a good game with the potential to be a great game if you are the target market. But it sounds to me like neither of us are that target market, because I like a lot of other games where I customize my deck better. I would rather play the Lord of the Rings LCG. I'd rather play the Arkham Horror LCG. I'd rather play a couple other expandable card games that I can think of. So I don't think I'm the target market for you. And then you're just like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
For this
seems like a lot of energy to go into what this is.
It does. And the other thing that I wasn't turned on about this was the fact that it's just, once we're done, it's just like we're done. There was nothing lasting. And I think have you played,
or no secret points that's like, but I have this thing that actually gave me 3 or 4 more.
And I do want to mention that Thoughts from the Corner is generally our first or second impression. And this is our first impression of this one. I'm hoping to get this to my next night's game night, because the other thing is, and I do want to mention this, we sat through a 30-minute rule video. When I say that, I know that probably turned off a lot of people. But I don't think it'd be too terribly difficult to teach.
No.
Really. It's just because it's on your turn. It's like, oh, you got the beginning stuff that happens, and then you have 2 actions, and most of the actions are pretty simple. And then at the end, you heal up, and you're going to have to go back for a bunch of little situations.
The player aid card was useful.
It was.
I mean, it had all the actions on there that you could do. I mean,
the box is way too big. But in the end, I think it really...
Well, that's because you're going to get
planning
more cards. Yeah.
I think so far, first impression, and I think you might agree with this, if this game sounds appealing to you based on the IP, based on the expandable card game model of it, I think you're going to eat it up.
Yeah.
I put it.
There's great stuff there. It's just, it wasn't for me.
Likewise, I think it's good. Play it again. Don't see myself falling in love with it and wanting to play it over and over again. But you might be somebody different. In fact, you are, unless you're a clone. In which case, why are you watching this video? I mean, you should be doing clone stuff. You should be, like, ruining my reputation. That's what I do to you. In fact, I might if I'm a clone. Anywho, this is good. There you go. If you enjoy what we're doing, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below, as I'm trying to reach 9,000 subscribers, celebrate my 9-year anniversary of making YouTube content. Also consider supporting the Patreon down below. So I'm currently staying home down. Every dollar really does count. And in the comments below, let me know if you could have an expandable card game based on any IP, which is a word that I always use, and I don't remember what it actually means. Intellectual property. Yeah. What would it be? Ooh. Expandable card game, any IP. I'm going Alf. That's just my good fallback
Wow,
because
really?
I don't know. I think Lord of the Rings is an obvious choice, but that's already exists.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's an LCG, but whatevs.
Yeah, or like superheroes. Those things already exist.
Yeah.
So.
Alf. I mean, it's solid.
Alf solid. Like 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Ooh.
That could be fun.
Good, especially the Alf 2001 crossover.
There you go.
But let me know in the comments below what LCG or CCG, I don't care what the kids are calling it, ECG, would you like 10 IP to be? And as always, thanks for your time.